Picture the bags of whole grain flour, the jars of peanut butter, the vacuum-sealed nuts, and the healthy trail mixes you've so carefully stockpiled. It looks like a fortress of security, doesn't it? A solid guarantee that your family will eat when the world outside is starving. I'm here today to tell you that it's an illusion. The expiration dates printed on those packages are a lie. Not a white lie, but a dangerous one, designed for a world of climate-controlled supermarkets, not the harsh reality of your basement or garage. The real expiration date is determined by a hidden chemical clock that starts ticking the moment you bring those items home. Today, we are counting down the 9 so-called survival foods that are a ticking time bomb in your pantry, the ones that will spoil, go rancid, and become useless long before you ever expect them to. This is the information that separates a full pantry from an empty stomach. Number 1. Peanut butter. It is the undisputed king of survival foods. A calorie-dense, protein-rich, and incredibly shelf-stable powerhouse that sits in nearly every serious prepper's pantry. We're talking about peanut butter. For years, you've been told to make the healthy choice when you stock up. You've been conditioned by the entire health food industry to buy the natural kind, the one that proudly contains nothing but pure peanuts and a little bit of salt. You felt smart buying it. You felt prepared. You felt healthy. But what I'm about to tell you is that this so-called healthy choice is a catastrophic mistake, a trap that will turn your most trusted food prep into a rancid, inedible liability long before you ever need it. The enemy, the hidden agent of decay, is in the oil. In natural peanut butter, the peanut oil is chemically unstable. It is designed to separate and rise to the top of the jar, forming a liquid layer that is directly and constantly exposed to the small amount of oxygen sealed inside the jar. This oxygen is a relentless attacker. Over the course of just 12 to 18 months, it will cause that beautiful natural oil to oxidize and go completely rancid. It won't look moldy. It won't have a big warning sign. But when you finally open that jar in a desperate crisis, you'll be met with a bitter, waxy, and disgusting taste, like you're eating old crayons or chemical putty. It's not just unpleasant. Consuming rancid oils can cause severe inflammation and digestive distress, the last thing you need in a world without doctors. So, what is the secret to truly long-term peanut butter storage? The answer is found in the jar you've been trained to avoid: the common, everyday, processed peanut butter. Brands like Jif, Skippy, or your local store brand are not just peanut butter. They are feats of modern food preservation science. The very ingredients that health gurus tell you to fear, the small amount of added sugar and the hydrogenated oils, act as powerful preservatives. The hydrogenated oil is a stabilizer, preventing the natural peanut oil from separating and creating a shield that protects the fats from the attack of oxygen. This gives it a sealed shelf life of many years, not just a few months. The rules of the supermarket are not the rules of survival. For your deep pantry, for the food that your life may one day depend on, you must prioritize brutal chemical stability over clean label marketing. Dried fruits. You see them in the expensive health food stores and the organic aisle of your supermarket. Plump, beautiful, unsulfured dried apricots and dark, natural sun-dried raisins. They are marketed to you as the pure, clean, and healthy choice for your family, completely free from all the modern chemicals and preservatives that you've been told to fear. So, when you build your long-term survival pantry, you logically reach for these, believing you are stockpiling the best possible nutrition. But you are not buying healthier food. You are buying a defenseless one. You are stocking your shelves with a product that is intentionally designed to fail. The trap is the phrase preservative-free. In our modern world of convenience and refrigeration, we have been taught to see preservatives as an enemy. But in the brutal reality of long-term, off-grid survival, preservatives are a powerful and essential weapon. Commercially produced dried fruits, the kind you find in a regular supermarket, are typically treated with a very small amount of sulfur dioxide. This simple, FDA-approved compound is an invisible suit of armor for the fruit. It is a potent antioxidant that prevents the fruit from oxidizing and turning a dark, unappetizing brown. But more importantly, it is a powerful antimicrobial and antifungal agent, a chemical shield that wages a constant, silent war against the mold and bacteria that want to consume your food supply. When you choose to buy the natural, unsulfured version, you are choosing to store fruit without its armor. You are leaving it vulnerable and exposed. These organic fruits will turn brown much faster. They will absorb ambient moisture from the air and clump together into a sticky, solid brick, and they are far more likely to develop the toxic mold that can make your family violently ill in a world without access to modern medicine. For your deep pantry, for your long-term stockpile, the choice is brutally clear. You must choose the conventional, sulfur-treated dried fruits. This is not a debate about everyday health trends. This is a calculated, strategic decision about long-term chemical stability. In a collapse, you are not fighting the hypothetical long-term risks of a common food additive. You are fighting the very real and immediate threat of rot, mold, and starvation. The professional survivor understands that preservatives are not an enemy. They are a tool. A tool that ensures the food you store today is still safe and edible when your life depends on it tomorrow. Number 3. Instant coffee. In the desperate, sleep-deprived, and soul-crushingly grim reality of a long-term collapse, it is more than just a drink. It is a lifeline. A hot cup of coffee is the chemical fuel that will keep you awake and alert on a freezing night watch. It is the jolt of warm, bitter normalcy that will keep you sane when the world has gone mad. And it will be the single most valuable barter item to trade with the exhausted, caffeine-addicted masses. You know this. That's why you have a big, sealed jar of instant coffee in your pantry, a dark, rich promise of comfort for the days to come. But that promise is a lie. That jar is not a guarantee of a warm drink. It's a container of future disappointment, a stockpile of bitter brown dust that is designed to fail you. The trap is that you believe dry means immortal. You are dangerously wrong. Instant coffee is a highly processed food, and its greatest enemy is the very air in your home. First, the coffee crystals are aggressively hygroscopic, a scientific term meaning they are like thirsty little sponges, desperately trying to pull any and all moisture from the atmosphere. The very moment you break that initial foil seal, a chemical countdown begins. In any humid environment, or with each subsequent opening of the jar, it will slowly absorb water from the air, transforming from a free-flowing powder into a solid, unusable rock of disappointment. Second, the fragile, volatile compounds that create coffee's rich flavor and powerful aroma are systematically destroyed by oxygen. Over a period of just 1 to 2 years, that bold, comforting taste will degrade and evaporate, leaving you with nothing but a bitter, sad, and pathetic echo of the drink you once loved. So what is the professional's solution? It is not to abandon coffee, but to store it with cold, hard intelligence. The superior choice is not the large, economical jar, but the individual single-serving packets. Each packet is a perfectly sealed single dose, completely protected from both moisture and oxygen until the very moment you use it. For bulk storage, the only truly safe method is to break down a large can into smaller, individual portions in mylar bags with oxygen absorbers and then vacuum seal them. The amateur prepper trusts the factory packaging. The professional survivor understands that true long-term preservation is a science they must master themselves. Number 4. Potatoes and onions. It is the classic, romantic image of old-world self-sufficiency, a cool, dark root cellar, stacked high with heavy sacks of potatoes and beautiful braided strings of onions and garlic. It feels permanent. It feels real. It feels like you have secured a food source that is directly connected to the earth, a guarantee that will last you through the hardest of times, just like it did for our great-grandparents. But this idyllic image is hiding a dangerous and inconvenient truth. You have not stored an inert, stable, and permanent food source. You have stored a collection of living, breathing organisms that have already begun a slow and completely irreversible countdown to their own death. I'm talking about potatoes and onions. The trap that so many new preppers fall into is believing that these hardy root vegetables are a true long-term survival food, on the same level as 25-year staples like dried beans or white rice. They are not. They are a medium-term prep, at best. Every single potato and onion in that sack is a living thing, and it is desperately trying to complete its life cycle. It is consuming its own stored sugars and starches to push out new sprouts, turning soft, shriveled, and nutritionally weak in the process. They are also highly susceptible to rot. A single potato that goes bad in the bottom of a dark sack can create a pocket of moisture and bacteria that will rapidly destroy the entire bag in a silent, stinking chain reaction of decay. But with potatoes, there is a far more insidious and hidden danger that most people are completely unaware of. If your potatoes are exposed to even a small amount of light during storage, their skin will begin to turn green. That green color is a clear warning sign from nature. It indicates the presence of a natural nerve toxin called solanine. In small amounts, it will just taste bitter. But in larger quantities, or for someone with a weakened immune system, consuming it can lead to severe nausea, vomiting, and debilitating gastrointestinal distress, a medical crisis you cannot afford in a world without an emergency room. This is a hidden poison, grown from your own trusted food source. Under ideal, perfect root cellar conditions, potatoes and onions might last you through a single winter. That is their role, and it is an important one. The fatal mistake is counting on them for your year 2 or year 3 food supply. By then, they will have long since turned to a mushy, sprouted, or potentially toxic mess. Number 5. Canned meat. It is the protein backbone of nearly every prepper's pantry. A solid wall of canned meat, spam, tuna, corned beef, and chicken, each one a sealed steel time capsule promising a savory, life-sustaining meal for the dark days to come. The common belief among amateurs is that these cans are immortal, that the food inside is perfectly preserved in time, safe forever. This is a dangerous and deeply flawed assumption. Time is a relentless enemy, and inside every single one of those cans, a slow, unstoppable chemical war is being waged against the very food you are counting on to survive. The first and most important casualty in that war is the fat. All canned meat, no matter how lean it seems, contains fat, and fat is chemically unstable. Over many years, even inside a perfectly sealed can, a process called oxidation causes these fats to break down and go rancid. The eventual result is a foul, metallic, and stale taste that will permeate and contaminate the entire product, making it disgusting. At the same time, the texture of the meat itself is slowly breaking down. The proteins and connective tissues continue to degrade long after the canning process is finished. A firm, satisfying piece of canned chicken or beef will slowly, over a decade, turn into a soft, mushy, and deeply unappetizing paste. The vitamins inside are also dying a slow death, diminishing the critical nutritional value you are relying on. A can of beef from 15 years ago, while likely still safe from botulism if the seal is perfectly intact, will not be the nourishing, morale-boosting meal you planned for. It will be a can of salty, nutrient-depleted, and foul-tasting mush. This is the hidden expiration date they don't print on the label, the expiration of quality, taste, and nutrition. The professional survivor knows this. They treat their canned meat not as a permanent, forever solution, but as a medium-term prep, to be used and rotated within a realistic 5 to 8 year window. They follow the simple but critical rule: first in, first out. Don't fall for the myth of the immortal can. The question isn't just, is it safe to eat? The real question is, when you are cold, hungry, and demoralized, will you even be able to stomach it? Number 6. Protein powder. It is the ultimate modern survival food, a high-tech, bioavailable, and incredibly convenient source of pure, life-sustaining protein. You see the massive, sealed tubs of whey and casein powder lining the shelves of prepper pantries, and you think you've found the perfect, lightweight, and long-lasting solution for your own stockpile. You believe you are storing a scientific superfood. But this modern miracle of food science is hiding a dirty secret. It is one of the most fragile, temperamental, and chemically unstable long-term foods you can possibly own. The first and most relentless enemy is water. Protein powder is aggressively hygroscopic, a scientific term that means it is a powerful moisture magnet. The large plastic tub it comes in is not truly airtight over the long term. It will slowly but surely pull trace amounts of moisture from the ambient air, turning your valuable, fluffy powder into a solid, hard, and unusable brick that can become a breeding ground for bacteria and mold. But the more sinister failure is happening silently on a molecular level, a betrayal from within. It's a chemical reaction where the essential amino acids, the very building blocks of the protein you are counting on, begin to break down and bond with the small amounts of sugars present in the powder. In essence, the protein begins to digest itself, systematically destroying its own nutritional value over time. So the powder you finally open in 5 years will not be the powerful supplement you stored. It will be a clumpy, nutritionally depleted shadow of its former self, likely with a foul, rancid, and soapy taste from its degraded milk fats. This is the hidden expiration date that the marketing department on the shiny label never tells you about. The only solution is to treat it not as a forever food, but as a medium-term prep with a 2 to 3 year shelf life, at best. For any hope of longer storage, you must get it out of that original tub and immediately repackage it into smaller, more manageable Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers. Don't be fooled by the high-tech label. Without a scientific approach to its storage, your modern superfood is just a ticking clock, slowly transforming itself from a life-saving resource into a bitter, useless sludge. Number 7. Crackers. It is the bedrock of the prepper's pantry. The simple, humble cracker. It's the crunchy base for your canned tuna, the perfect partner for your long-term peanut butter, and the fast, easy carbohydrate you are counting on for a quick burst of life-saving energy. You see its dry, crispy texture and you naturally assume it's immortal, the modern equivalent of the legendary hardtack that sailors and soldiers relied on for centuries. But that is a dangerous fantasy. The cracker in your pantry is not the immortal food of legend. It is a fragile imposter, a ticking time bomb of rancidity and rot. The first hidden enemy is fat. Unlike true historical hardtack, which was nothing more than flour, water, and salt, nearly all modern crackers are made with shortening, vegetable oils, and other fats to give them their distinctive flavor and tender texture. And those oils are a fatal, ticking flaw. Over a period of just 1 to 2 years, these fats will inevitably oxidize and go rancid. That familiar stale taste you've experienced in your own kitchen, that is the taste of chemical decay. It is the taste of your trusted food source failing from the inside out. The second enemy is external, moisture. A cracker is essentially a dry sponge, perfectly engineered to be crispy. This means it will aggressively and relentlessly absorb any humidity from the air around it. The flimsy cardboard box and the thin wax paper sleeve your crackers come in is not a true long-term airtight seal. Over time, that satisfying snap will be replaced by a soft, chewy, and pathetic texture. And where there is moisture, the growth of toxic mold is never far behind. The only way to fight this two-front war is with a professional and ruthless storage strategy. You must get your crackers out of their original, inadequate packaging and immediately vacuum seal them in smaller portions or store them in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers. This is non-negotiable for any kind of long-term storage. Don't let a false sense of security fool you. Your cracker stockpile is in a constant battle for its life. Without a proper defense, your crunchy foundation will crumble into a rancid, mushy, and useless disappointment right when you need it most. Number 8. Hard cheeses. There is a fundamental rule that every prepper learns on day 1. When the power grid dies, all dairy is a death trap. Soft cheeses, milk, cream, and yogurt will become a bacterial minefield in a matter of hours, a fast track to food poisoning when there are no doctors to save you. This is good, solid, life-saving advice. But this rule has one powerful, delicious, and critically important exception. There is an ancient form of dairy, a food so perfectly engineered by our ancestors for long-term preservation that it laughs at the absence of a modern refrigerator. It is a true survival food, hiding in plain sight in the gourmet aisle of your grocery store. I'm talking about hard-aged cheeses. We are not talking about flimsy, processed slices of American cheese that will turn into an oily mess. We mean the dense, solid wheels of Parmesan, the hard, salty bricks of Pecorino Romano, and the whole wax-sealed blocks of extra-sharp, aged cheddar. These are not modern, fragile foods. They are the product of an ancient science, a method of preserving the nutritional powerhouse of milk for months or even years without any electricity. The process of aging removes the vast majority of the moisture, the primary ingredient that dangerous bacteria needs to survive and multiply. This, combined with a high salt content, creates a hostile, arid environment where spoilage cannot gain a foothold. The thick, natural rind on a wheel of Parmesan, or the heavy wax coating on a block of cheddar, acts as a durable, natural suit of armor, protecting the calorie-dense treasure that is locked within. And what's inside that armor is a true survival powerhouse. Hard cheese is incredibly dense in calories, high-quality fats, and muscle-sustaining protein. A small 1-ounce chunk can provide a burst of long-lasting energy that is critical for a high-stress, physically demanding survival situation, but its greatest power may be psychological. In a world of bland, repetitive meals of beans and rice, the ability to grate some sharp, salty, and complex cheese over your food is a monumental morale boost. It is a taste of civilization, a reminder of a richer world, and a powerful weapon against the soul-crushing depression that will claim so many survivors. Stored properly in a cool, dark place, an uncut wheel of hard cheese can last for years, becoming a cornerstone of your deep pantry. This isn't just cheese, it's a block of preserved energy, a time capsule of flavor, and a powerful tool for your mental survival. Number 9. Popcorn kernel spy. You see it in the snack aisle of every grocery store. A simple plastic bag of hard yellow kernels sitting right next to the potato chips and candy. You associate it with movie nights, with mindless entertainment, with the trivial comforts of a world that is about to vanish forever. You see it as junk food, a frivolous, non-essential, but this is a foolish and critical oversight. What you are looking at is not a simple snack. It is a survival powerhouse in disguise, one of the most efficient, long-lasting, and psychologically powerful grains you can possibly have in your deep pantry. I'm talking about popcorn kernels. First, let's talk about their near immortality. These are a special type of flint corn, naturally dried to a perfect moisture level for violent expansion. When stored in a sealed, airtight container, away from pests and extreme temperatures, these kernels are almost eternal. They will outlast you, your children, and your grandchildren, a perfectly preserved time capsule of pure, starchy energy waiting to be released. But their true magic, their second miracle, lies in the great expansion. A single cup of these small, dense kernels explodes into more than 20 cups of voluminous, edible food. A small jar that fits in the palm of your hand becomes a massive bowl that can feed an entire family for an evening. This is an incredible return on investment, a way to store a huge volume of satisfying food in a tiny amount of precious space. But its greatest power is not in the calories, it's in the psychology. In a dark, silent, and terrifying new world where every meal is a chore, the simple sound and smell of corn popping over a fire is a sound of normalcy, a sound of hope. The act of making and sharing a warm bowl of popcorn is a powerful act of community. It is a weapon against the crushing despair and boredom that will be a greater threat than any looter. It is a way to keep your children's spirits up, to remind your group that you are not just surviving, but in some small way, still living. And if needed, these same kernels can be ground down into cornmeal to make a simple porridge or flatbread. The amateur prepper stocks only what looks like survival food. The professional survivor finds the survival advantage in the things everyone else overlooks. So there you have it. 9 trusted survival foods, each with a hidden chemical clock, silently counting down to failure right now in your own pantry. The greatest threat to your long-term food supply isn't the looter outside your door. It is the slow, silent, and invisible war being waged inside every bag, box, and can you have stockpiled. Your enemies in this war are not men. They are oxygen, moisture, and time itself. The expiration date printed on the package is a lie of convenience, a fantasy written for a world of climate-controlled supermarkets and rapid turnover. It is not a guarantee of survival in the brutal, real-world conditions you are preparing for. The truth is, the 9 foods we've exposed today are just the beginning. Your stockpile, right now, is likely filled with dozens of other hidden failures just waiting to betray you when you are at your most vulnerable. If this video has forced you to look at your own pantry with new, more critical eyes, if it has made you question what you thought was safe, then you need to subscribe to this channel and activate all notifications right now. Because this channel is your partner in the real science of preparedness. We don't just tell you what to hoard. We teach you how to think, how to test, and how to build a stockpile that is truly resilient, not just a sad museum of future failures. In our next investigation, we will expose the common survival jeer that has a hidden 12-month death clock that most preppers completely ignore. It is information you absolutely cannot afford to miss. Now, go down to the comments and be honest. What is the one food in your pantry that you are now going to reevaluate after watching this? Question everything. Trust the science, and survive the reality.